All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the recap once again. Michael D'Angelo, Mr. Big D, Daryl Ortiz. Great to see you, my friend, on the
Likewise.
and we are on the path to another PLE. These ones come fast and furious now because
I think they're back to the monthly routine now, which is good.
Yeah.
We got Clash at the Castle in Scotland, which is going to be interesting because
Yeah.
I think all the Scots involved are losing, so that's going to be interesting for the fans.
Yeah,
but,
I think so. You never know. We'll see. Drew McIntyre, you never know, but it feels more like we wouldn't see any sort of title changes, but
No.
we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, it's coming up a week from today 'cause
Yeah.
it's Saturday right now. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But before we get to all that, we'll get into the week that was in WWE for Raw and SmackDown. So, Mr. Big D, take us through what happened on Monday Night Raw.
So yeah, Raw opened up with, of course, lots of recap of the makeout sesh between Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio. Of course, Liv Morgan does her promo talking about the numbers that did on social media. If people, probably track that stuff, I'm sure that's what WWE really cares about. So they said that was a success. Of course, Dom talking about how when Rhea gets back, she's going to kill him, or she's going to kill her. And I love how Liv Morgan's like, yeah, she's going to kill you too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
she's not lying. So we'll
No,
see what
not
happens
at
with
all.
that. More taunting and flirting. I forgot to mention this is the Judgment Day edition of Raw, and I'll explain that here.
It
in a
sure
sec,
was.
'cause Jesus, if you forgot Judgment Day was a thing, you sure as hell didn't in this show. So they had that. She was there. Of course, Finn Balor comes in to block any other emotional stuff that may go on and get in the way, but not before she just tussles Dom's hair, before she leaves to mess with him. So, yeah, that was awkward, but it was just weird. I get what they're doing. I get they're doing kind of like this Black Widow kind of thing where she's going to come in and kind of take over. I don't know if it's going to lead to Damian Priest being kicked out of Judgment Day. But I have a feeling that's where it's going to go, because it's going to be kind of like, how did this happen under your watch? You were too distracted with your own title or whatever. Because Rhea can always make the argument that when she was champion, she still stood on top of everything else. So I think that we might see that come to fruition or come to light. Well, time will tell. I don't know. It was a very odd segment.
Yeah. The segment was odd, and like you mentioned, this is what the Judgment Day edition of Raw. Like everything revolved around that faction. And I was thinking about this too. I'm like, they're clearly steering towards some sort of a reorging of the Judgment Day, or and not even maybe even a full breakup. But I'm not sure how they're going to play this, because
Yeah.
Liv Morgan's obviously trying to get in and take over. So clearly you've got Liv and Dom together as part of this. Probably JD also, because you had that segment a couple of weeks ago where Liv and JD were talking. Finn seems more like the concerned big brother with Dom. What are you doing? Like,
Trying
he
to
really
protect
is in
him.
that. He's trying to protect him. And he did that a couple of times on the show tonight. Later
Yeah.
in the segment with Braun Strowman. And he even said at one point where he's like, hey, what are you doing? He goes, I didn't do anything. He goes, exactly. You didn't do anything. And so he's trying to be the voice of reason. So I almost feel like it's him and Damian Priest are kind of aligned. Do you see those two both break off and maybe you do something else with Finn Balor? So it'll be interesting to see how they play it. Carlito obviously is going to be with whoever, probably Liv and Dom and JD.
Probably.
And he's going to end up staying in the group. And so I feel like there's that potential that maybe break off Damian Priest. Maybe he does the face thing. Maybe break off Finn Balor as well. Kind of let him do his own, which would be great. I'd love him to just have his singles run again. And
I
not
miss the
be kind of
Demon King.
bit player. I do too. So I'm wondering if that's where they're heading with it as well. But but time will tell. But this was an interesting interaction.
It was. But on the bright side, we had a hell of a match, in my match of the night, between Ludwig Kaiser and Sheamus. They just beat the hell out of each other. I mean, that was a brutal match. I mean, Ludwig Kaiser, first of all, interrupts Sheamus's intro by just chop blocking him on the barricade, which was brutal in its own right. Getting all the heat and just eating it all up. I like seeing Ludwig Kaiser in this role now, right? Because of course you have Gunther, he's king of the ring, so he's doing his own thing. But it's good to see that now he's not part of a tag team. He can still hold his own, and hold his own. He did. You had a lot. I think the the great part was when I think Sheamus was going up top to do trying to do a white noise from like an avalanche white noise. His knee gave out, and that's when I mean I didn't like the roll up, but again it was the way the match was built kind of excused the roll up because Sheamus pretty much went on until his body couldn't anymore, which speaks to Sheamus's character. So Sheamus doesn't look weak in defeat here. The ref even tried to stop the fight at some point, and Sheamus stopped that, and even was like, "Is that all you got?" And they just went to town on each other, and Ludwig Kaiser focused on that knee and just kept chopping at it. I think at one point Sheamus was on the turnbuckle and he chopped his knee on the turnbuckle, which was brutal looking as well. But it was good, and so the roll up pin made sense because Sheamus wasn't quitting, and you can extend their feud, and you can really turn this into an all out brawl. Maybe at Clash at the Castle, or maybe going forward as it just goes on, he can just they can just have these matches. But this was great to see. I don't know how you felt.
Yeah, it was really good. I thought the same thing. I was like, this was very brutal stylistically. It was. And that's kind of what Sheamus is being more known for at this point, is more of these brutal matches. He got chopped up again. His chest got all beat up. And Sheamus also wears damage, really, obviously. He wears damage on his skin really easily. So I thought it was really, really fun. It was really good. I also appreciated the fact that they did the tracking shot when they followed Sheamus out for his entrance.
I love that shot.
So you got the surprise from, because you always see people running down behind somebody, and you didn't see that. You saw Kaiser just pop into frame and like hit him in the knee. So it actually was more of a surprise because you had less of a heads up that he was running down to get him. So I just like the way that it was shot. I really enjoyed it. For me, it was pretty close on Match of the Night. I think I actually surprisingly had the main event as Match of the Night. We'll talk about that. But I was a little torn because this one was really, really good.
It was, and I really enjoyed it. I was torn as well, but we can talk about that main event later. But that was a great one. After that, we had what I felt would have been a top contender for Match of the Night in Finn Balor against Dragon Lee. Both men complement each other so well, and they just work together so well. I would have never thought to see it's the match I never thought I wanted, and now I saw it and I'm like, dang, that was good. Of course, luchador moves, the dives, and again, just the interference is what kind of deterred me from really going over with this match, because of course you had JD, you had Carlito come, and they came in and were interrupting. And then to top it off, you have Braun Strowman come out to break them all up. So Braun Strowman really is not doing anything besides just break up. Like, he's like the bully chaser, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it really bothers me that I don't know if it's because he really can't run that well, but it looks comical the way he runs, unfortunately. So they really shouldn't have him chasing people. I think it should be more. I mean, Great Khali never chased people down. He shouldn't have to. And Braun again, I don't know. I didn't like the way it ended. I felt there was a lot more there that could have been done in the match, but that was. I mean, Finn Balor won, came out with the victory. Always good to see Finn come up on top, but Dragon Lee's expense, I'm not sure how I felt about that.
Yeah. Well, and this was the match I was looking forward to when I saw it. I was like, oh man, this is going to be great, because Dragon Lee's awesome and Finn Balor's awesome. And they both are, they're both great athletes. They actually had really good chemistry together. So I enjoyed it. Same thing too. I wasn't wild about how it ended, because you had too much interference. Carlito came out to interfere. You had JD out there. Where I was thinking, really, does Finn Balor need this much help to beat Dragon Lee?
No, he shouldn't.
So that was like, he shouldn't. He shouldn't need that much help.
No.
And then the other thing about that too, though, was where's the LWO?
Exactly.
Dragon Lee is.
I'm like, there shouldn't be a numbers game if he's part of the LWO.
Yeah, I was like, he's the new guy in the LWO. Nobody from the LWO came down ringside while all the shenanigans were going on. Nobody ran down to help him at any point. Then when it ended, it was Rey Mysterio and Braun Strowman. At that point, I was still like, where is the LWO? Why is it Braun? Why doesn't one of his teammates come down to help him? So that felt a little weird. It was just like the continuation of what Ray found Braun in the back and said, hey, are you still looking for JD and them? Here they are. Yeah. So it's like a running gag at that point. So that made less sense to me. Ending just got a little jinky, a little too weird for me.
I agree. It was disappointing because, like I said, that Give them a one-on-one match with no interference, and that's going to tear down the house. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
It's going to be an amazing match, but it is what it is. After that, we had Sami Zayn come out demanding for Chad Gable to get his ass out there, and he sends in typical heel fashion. And you know what? I like heel Gable. I really do. I love heels in general, but the way he sends his crew on his behalf, and I think the more cherry on top was Maxine Dupree read from a pre-written note from him where she has to insult her friends and herself because it's from him, and I'm just like, God dang, man, that's crazy. Another opportunity, of course, for Chad Gable to come in and sneak attack Sami Zayn, get under his skin some more. You almost had the turn for Otis again, but it was I kind of think it was clever on how they kind of masked it this time, where they had Chad Gable kind of push Sami into them, Chad Gable pushed Sami and he got into. I think that's what happened. Yes, he pushed into.
Yeah, like he hit Sami and then, or he kind of threw Sami and knocked him into Otis,
Maxine, and
who knocked off Maxine and Tozawa off of the apron.
So
it was like
which pissed off Otis because he didn't see that, and he gave Sami Zayn the world's strongest slam. I'm hoping now after this he sees the replay, and of course he's going to be like, "What? This is was the setup."
I was like, just watch the match back. Like this is an easy way to fix it, or Sami just send him the YouTube video.
Or we'll have a segment.
Be like, hey, FYI. Yeah. Oh, by the way, here you go. And like FYI, and said, that's all you got to do. That fixes it.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think there are rumors going that I think Chad Gable's contract is up yesterday. So Friday. It was up Friday. I don't know if he renewed or not. I haven't checked. So shame on me. But if that's the case, then chances are you're going to have Otis interfere at Clash at the Castle, because that's what he ended up getting, is a title match at Clash at the Castle against Sami Zayn. I'm sure this was a tactic to try and keep Chad Gable, but if Chad Gable ends up winning the title, which is a very strong possibility, if Chad Gable wins the title in Scotland, I would love to see an Otis Chad Gable title match at SummerSlam, and I think Otis should win the Intercontinental title. I really do. I think he's earned it. The crowd's over. He's over with the crowd. So
he is, and I feel like this I thought they were going to pull the trigger on. The Otis is finally going to snap and turn on him, and then it does make more logical sense. It'll happen at Clash at the Castle. Is when this will end up going down, which is where I feel like I don't know if they'll take the title off of Sami at this point. Like that feels pretty fast, but I do think that of all the titles, this one's probably the most likely to change at Clash of the Castle. But we'll see how it goes. But I am getting a little tired of Otis not turning on him.
Yeah,
like this one was probably the best way they could have played it. Yeah.
I get what they're doing. They're wanting to kind of just keep building on it, but at some point you got to pull the trigger, because it's going to end up getting old, and then it's not going to be over when it happens. I think that's what happened. Who was it? I want to say it was with Roman Reigns when he was a face. I think they kind of just overdid it, and it ended up backfiring. So hopefully that isn't the case, but we'll see. After that, of course, Ricochet sitting in the trainer's booth again, getting taped up in the same spot at the same time, talking to the same people, and Ilya Dragunov comes out and is like, "Hey man, you shouldn't be wrestling. You should be, taking it easy or whatever." And he says, "No, I want Braun Breaker." So match goes on. Braun Breaker pretty much is destroying Ricochet at this point, just trying to. I mean, Braun Breaker's just out just to murder people apparently. So that's what he's doing. He even I think at one point in the match, before he does one of his moves on Ricochet, he kind of looks over at Samantha Irvin, like to kind of give her a look too, and it's kind of like, a nice little nod. I like that they're building him into this like unhinged kind of just like monster of a heel right now. Yeah, I think he had mentioned too about going after the Intercontinental title, which I could see happening. I could see him taking that title fairly easily. Yeah, the way they're building him right now, but. He hit a Frankensteiner and a spear combination, which was insane. If you didn't get a chance to see that, go back and watch that, because that was nuts, and that's what secured the win for him. And then he looked to go, destroy him some more. And then Ilya Dragunov comes out to make the save. So I think we're going to have a triple threat match at some point between the three. I don't think it's going to be at Clash of the Castle. I don't know if it will be, if it's been announced yet or not. I wouldn't be surprised, but it would be nice to see, because that would be actually a really fun triple threat match to see, now that I'm thinking about it.
It would. And you know what was funny about this one is this match I looked forward to just because I was like, it's Ricochet versus Braun Breaker. Like, that should be great. But it bummed me out a little bit because Ricochet is still doing the favoring the ribs injury, which kind of hampers the whole match, because he always has to like stop and go, and then grab his ribs. And I get why they're doing it. They're trying to like make an excuse as to why Ricochet doesn't beat him, because they're trying to not make Ricochet look weak, and Braun's still going to be the winner of it. But I'm also like, Braun's steamrolling everybody. Like, he'll come out, when he started out, he'd come out and just hit the spear immediately in like 2 seconds and win. Yeah. Like, he can't do that to Ricochet, who has both sides of his ribs taped up.
Right.
Is like, yeah, okay. I wish I could see them wrestle a healthy match where somebody's not pretending to be injured the whole time.
And they're just going 100%.
Yeah, that would be a barn burner. It would be absolutely awesome. So that's where I was like, this one just like kind of left me feeling a little empty. And then, of course, Braun Breaker's attempted murder at the end of every single match now, to where it's like, clear the back.
He just blacks out, sees red.
At some point, you're not going to just send security out there, or just be like, okay, I guess we're gonna have to fire Braun Breaker. It's like we're gonna allow him to do this every single week until somebody dies. Pretty much. But I mean, still, he's a phenomenal athlete. Also, he's only 26 years old. This is my other thought. Braun Breaker's the oldest looking 26-year-old I think I've ever seen. Like, I guess 26 is the new 36. Because he looks older than that to me. He doesn't move like it. He moves like a 26-year-old. But I was like, dang, I didn't realize he was that young.
Yeah, he's extremely athletic and young, so bright future ahead of him. Obviously, his dad, Rick Steiner, but it's obvious that the wrestling genes are in him. But yeah, that's just nuts. I don't know. I think the way they're pinning him as a heel, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out with his Uncle Scott, just as long as he doesn't give him the mic. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited to see Braun Breaker thrive and continue to grow and develop. So that was great. After that, we had Kiana James making her debut match against Natalya, which, again, we've talked about this before. They found Natalya's place. It's to help put over the younger talent, and that she did very well, very gracefully. Short match, nothing to write home about, nothing crazy. Kiana James hits the 401k to make her Raw debut win her Raw debut there with everyone there. It was good. It was nice. It was clean. It was simple. Not much to it, really.
Yeah, same here. I was like, not much to it. The 401k is kind of a lame finisher. I'm just gonna come out and say it right now. And I was like, they got to give her something that has a little bit more oomph to it. But all in all, a solid match.
Yeah. Then after that, we had Braun Strowman against Carlito, which, of course, how many times we're going to have Pat McAfee call him a big SOB?
Well, it's on his T-shirt now, too. I noticed that.
It is.
I'm like, they're steering into the marketing for it. But now we'll have to hear it every single time he comes out.
Yeah. But, again, we had Carlito go through, and I think, of course, all of Judgment Day makes their presence known. Even Dom tries to get physical, finally, with his injured arm. So he was able to actually get something in. He tries to go for a second chair shot. Braun just like punches it out of his hand, which is always a nice looking, monster move. But who comes to Dom's save but Liv Morgan? That's at the end of the day, Braun Strowman beats Carlito, which is fine. Nothing really advances here. Nothing really happens aside from Judgment Day coming out again and Liv Morgan taking advantage, to try and again flirt and put more moves on, put more juju on Dominic Mysterio. But that's pretty much it for that match. I think that match was a quick
really 2-minute squash.
Yeah, I'm about to say that match really was just there for the interference and Liv Morgan.
Yeah, it was there for the interference. It was there for the storyline. And this was like last week with JD. We thought it should have been a squash match. I guess they heard us because this one. They flip flopped it. You got a quick
with the
2-minute
wrong
squash
people.
match against
I mean, it's
Carlito.
freaking Carlito.
Yeah, Carlito should have hung in there
Jacked,
longer than
dude.
that. Yeah. So I was like, okay. Like, I think at some point they were like, hey, we probably should have had him run through JD. All right, we'll make it up this week. Carlito, there you go. You're getting wrecked by Braun, and then Braun got wrecked by everybody with chairs later, because Liv Morgan did have the save, which I think that's intended to be. Hey, look, she helped solve the Strowman problem, so this is going to convince some of them. Hey, maybe we should keep her on board, and that's
she's trying
continuing
to curry
to sow
favor
the seeds
with
of
them.
the split.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's we'll see what becomes of that. After that, we had Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair defending their titles against. Well, it wasn't a title match. Yeah, it was. It was a title match.
Yeah, it was. It was an improv title match.
Yeah, against Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark. Of course, because now you had Isla Dawn and what was her name? Alba Fire involved in the feud. What happens when you have a 3-way feud? It's a disqualification or no contest.
Yep. No contest.
Yeah, but yeah, so Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair keep their titles. I think they did set up the triple threat match for Clash at the Castle. There is a possibility these titles might change hands there. I'm not 100% on it because I think Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are still doing pretty well as a tag team, but usually when they set up a triple threat, it's either going to build the tag team champions even bigger or it's going to give them an excuse to lose the titles and not get pinned. We'll see what happens with that. I think they did make it official, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to have Bianca Belair,
they did on
Cargill.
SmackDown. They did the official announcement because
that's right.
Well, and because they wrestled twice. They wrestled on Raw and wrestled on SmackDown, and then on the Raw match, really for me felt like a long squash match because they when they dominated when they weren't on commercial, and and then when they came back from commercial, like during the commercial break, they started losing, but now they're not anymore, and it was like, okay, well, everything we saw was them dominating, and I was a little bummed by this one because like when the match was over, then they just got. Like Bianca Belair and Jade got wrecked by both teams, and then we're just like everyone's standing tall over them, and I'm thinking, really, like the champs
one
are
tag
down
team
and
hold up
wrecked.
one title, and the other tag team hold up the other title.
Hold up the other, and I was like, so it wasn't a great look for them when they were clearly should be big and strong enough to be able to clear all of them out, and they made up for that on SmackDown, but it was like, and I will say this that. Just from the fact that they're wrestling so much together now, like they are getting the work in. Bianca and Jade they're getting better every single week as a team, and they really are starting to gel. Yeah. So I like to see that too.
I agree, and I think we talked about this too. I think that's why they paired her with Bianca Belair to kind of show her the ropes and help her come into her character a little bit better. And I feel like each week she comes out stronger and stronger and looks better and better. So I think that's great. It's been serving her well, been serving both of them well. Giving Bianca a nice little refresh, seeing her as a tag team champion is pretty nice to see too. So we'll see what happens as it progresses. I'm excited to see, this tag team grow, and who knows what happens if they lose the titles. Are they going to break up and feud against each other, which would also be cool. So that'd be a great feud. Be cool. But we'll see. After that, Jey Uso in the crowd talking about his entry into the Money in the Bank ladder match. Which, again, WWE, he better win that freaking briefcase. That needs to go to Jey. I think he's long overdue. I think he deserves the title, or at least the opportunity, however they want to spin it. He did mention about how he was out on his own and he misses, he's out by himself, which it sounds like I'm still saying, I'm still hopeful we're going to get a Bloodline Civil War at Survivor Series. We're going to have the OG Bloodline versus the new Bloodline, and it's going to be great. But I don't know.
I think we will.
I think we will too, but this will be nice to see too. I think Jey winning Money in the Bank is long overdue. Super mega over with the crowd. He's just a great competitor. He's amazing on the mic. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. No, I agree. He's really awesome. I think, and of course now you're getting all the Money in the Bank declaration. Right after this, Lyra Valkyria immediately declared also. Yeah. So they always kind of do these fast and furious. So that's why I'm like, okay, now they're getting all the people to declare really quickly for the Money in the Bank matchups. So Lyra Valkyria will also be in.
Yeah, I like how who was it that was interviewing her? I forgot who it was. Was like, well, how do you feel about your chances now that now that the man Becky Lynch isn't here, and she's like, I was like, it's true. How are you gonna do it now?
Oh yeah, it's like step out of her shadow for a second.
Yeah, but we'll see. After that, Authors of Pain surprisingly beat New Day
Yep.
to extend that. But the way they won was curious. You know, the match was okay. It was a short match. It wasn't meant to be anything crazy or spectacular other than to further the storyline. Before that, you had Karrion Kross still trying to get in Xavier Woods' ear, you know, and saying, you know, he's better off on his own. And in this match, he kind of proved it because he was able to distract Kofi with conversation.
Yep.
And Kofi totally missed the hot tag when Xavier Woods needed it and gets hit with the new finisher, What a Rush, and loses. They lose. And big win for Authors of Pain, big win for the Final Testament, and a good furthering along of the storyline just so that it can, you know, give Xavier Woods some doubt. Will they break up the New Day? I doubt it. But, I mean, it's
doubt
nice
it,
to see.
but it gives everybody something to do, and I did like the way that they did it. I think it was the match was pretty short and sweet. It wasn't dragged out, and everything that was done played really well with the story that they're telling. So I like this too.
It was good. And then after that, we had our main event, Damian Priest against Rey Mysterio. This was not a title match. For some reason, I thought it was, but it was not. And so and this one, we had some pretty good moves, pretty good offense. Obviously, Rey Mysterio, one of the greatest luchadores of all time. Damian Priest, great young talent. Well, not young, but great talent overall. And I think he really did help in like furthering his strength, his stronghold on that championship. And you know, Rey Mysterio just kept going with the aerial fury. I mean, he was just all over the place, doing what Rey Mysterio does best, right? And of course, it wasn't enough. There was a brawl outside of the ring because you had, of course, Judgment Day interference. But again, end of the story was Damian Priest wins, but there's a lot of outside shenanigans. There's all hell breaking loose, and then before you know it, Drew McIntyre just appeared out of nowhere. It seemed out of thin air, and just takes out Damian Priest and Rey Mysterio, and then But then Damian Priest comes back around and ends up putting Drew McIntyre through the announce table because Drew McIntyre gets distracted arguing with Michael Cole, and so Damian Priest takes advantage. That's another time that he got busted, you know, jaw jacking and not focusing. So again, I don't think he's gonna win the title from Damian Priest, but I think Drew McIntyre really needs to. I want to see him win it in his home country, but I don't think it's gonna happen. What would build mega heat is if CM Punk interfered there in Scotland. That would just like, because I think even if the Flyers
he almost has to.
I mean, that's the only way at this point because Drew is red hot right now. He's, you know, again back at the helm and just doing his thing. And I think if they don't drop it to Drew, I don't know who at this point in time will be brawling for it right now. I'm sure there's other competitors, but I don't know, man.
You know, I feel like there's a chance they could drop it to Drew because it really is like, why not let him win it in his home country? I mean, I think for me that is a good story. They've allowed Damian Priest to have some title defenses, so it's not like he's a one and done and immediately drop the title. So I feel like there's a chance here that they could, and then maybe that is where you have CM Punk come in and they start the feud for those two in a title feud
for
heading into SummerSlam. So I think it's possible. I think there's some potential there. This match, though, I will say, did exceed my expectations because I was like, Rey Mysterio versus Damian Priest. I wasn't sure how to feel about that. Obviously, Rey's at an advanced age for a wrestler. But this one was great, and it definitely built momentum as it progressed, and it got really good.
It just
too much interference. It went up steadily because I was like, it was okay, and it went from being okay to being really great towards the end. And too much interference, but that was kind of the theme of the day. It was Judgment Day interference. So too much interference, too much outside brawling and outside interference. But it was a good visual at the end with Damian Priest kind of standing tall over Drew. We'll see, since there's one more. If there's one more episode of Raw before the PLE, which one of them was going to be standing tall at the end of that one. But all in all, I thought it was a really solid, really strong main event when I didn't have a huge amount of expectation for it.
Yeah, it was a very strong main event to close out the night. I think it was good. I just that the outside interference is what gets on my nerves because and it wasn't it's the same people
Yeah.
over and over and over and over, and I'm like, oh my god. They're just like, hey guys, Judgment Day. Guess what? Today's your night. You're just gonna run roughshod. You're just gonna go after, at every match. You're just gonna go out there and just do something. Like that's what's gonna happen,
Yeah.
and they did. It was but I mean, overall, it was a fun episode of Raw. Lots of wrestling going on. Pretty good matches. I would say this is probably about a B minus, C plus borderline, just because I was not a fan of a lot of the interference in the matches.
Yeah.
It hindered some of the matches from being better quality than what they were. And again, just copy and pasting with Ricochet being hurt, and then he still went after Ilya Dragunov, and then same thing. He's in the same room, he's doing the same thing, the same tape, same position, and now he's going after Braun Breaker, and it's just And then the tag match ending in a DQ just because it's a triple threat now, but it's just little things like that. I'm just nitpicking, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an all right show. I would give it probably a B. I think it was very Judgment Day heavy, so it felt a little different because there was that whole thematically that was running through pretty much the entire show. I feel like they were really trying to cash in on the social media Liv Morgan Dom thing a little too much.
Yeah.
And maybe didn't spend enough time with other storylines and other wrestlers. So
Yeah.
but it was solid. I was entertained. It was good.
Yeah. I was wrestling entertained.
There you go.
Then we
Speaking
had
of wrestling
SmackDown.
entertained, we had SmackDown, which opened the first 5 minutes of the show were flashbacks. I was like, it's only 2 hours, and it's all flashbacks of what happened last week with AJ Styles on Cody. So we saw that, and then immediately went into a bloodline ceremony, double proclamation with essentially where a very terrified Paul Heyman was out there going through the motions, but he did his double proclamation. So Tama Tonga first was named Solo's right-hand man, and I'm like, that's the proclamation. He was already a member of the bloodline, but he's the right-hand man. And I'm like, what happened to MFT? And what does that mean? Because he was only the MFT for like 2 weeks, and then they never really panned that out. Now he's the right-hand man. So there you go, Tama Tonga. And then he also made Tonga Loa a full-fledged member of the bloodline. He's now the infamous Tama Tonga. So we got to remember the right-hand man, the infamous Tonga Loa, excuse me. We got the right-hand man, Tama Tonga, the infamous Tonga Loa. So we got to make sure we got all that straight. I know. It's not difficult at all to remember or say. And then Solo made Paul thank them for saving him from KO last week. And then essentially KO still looking for the bloodline. He came rushing down into the jaws of the beast, which is not pretty ill-advised KO. It's not a good idea. And then started getting beat down until the Street Profits came down to help, because of course they did. We've already been teasing that. This was basically a long way to set up the main event of the evening, which was a 6-man tag match between KO, Street Profits versus the Bloodline, and that was going to happen later. Paul got threatened during the show that he better make that happen, or there was going to be a match in the Bloodline locker room. And I was like, whoa, what are they going to do to Paul Heyman? So thankfully, they're gonna hurt him bad or good. But fortunately for Paul, he was able to get this worked out with Nick Aldis, and that's set up. But what did you think of the double proclamation, Big D?
So yeah, I mean, pretty much what they're doing is just using the same roles that Roman Reigns did. You had your right hand man. The only one now is with Tonga Loa. But again, I'm okay with it. Like I said, this is I feel this is just a long, slow build towards Survivor Series being a civil war between the bloodline. Paul Heyman said some interesting things talking about that. After he spoke with Roman Reigns, he now knows that Solo Sikoa is the head of the table while he's away, and I think that's very crucial to kind of take into consideration, because Paul Heyman's still favoring Roman Reigns, and I think that will come to play later on as time goes on, because I think it went over storyline wise, went over most people's heads, but I have a feeling that's something that Solo Sikoa heard and took very personally. So the fact that he made him thank them, and then And then Tama Tonga was like, the only reason I saved you was because he told me to. Like that was kind of jacked up.
Yeah.
Like I don't care about you. I just did it because the boss told me to. But if
Yeah.
he
By orders
didn't, I
of the
would have
tribal
let you.
chief. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have just let you just get beat pretty much. But I mean, that was interesting. But again, KO feuding with the Bloodline kind of keeps going. You know, whether it's 1.0 or 2.0, he's going to feud with anybody.
Yeah. No, it is how it is, and then they'd face off later. And then we got Cody waiting in the loading dock, which is the theme for the night, waiting for AJ Styles to show up. And then right after that, we got a second helping of the women's tag champs this week. So it was Jade and Bianca again, this time taking on Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. And then Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn all came to hang out ringside, which I'm thinking, okay, Nick, why wouldn't you send security? Since they beat them down on Monday Night Raw. Yeah. And they're from another show, and they're hanging out ringside. Why are you allowing this? Like they're very inconsistent with what they allow. But they hung out ringside. This match is pretty good. I think Bianca did most of the heavy lifting in this one, with Jade kind of waiting, for the hot tag. She eventually did get that hot tag,
and she did well
ran
with it.
Wild.
Yeah,
she did really well with it. That's where I was kind of saying earlier. You see the evolution of she's getting better, and they're getting more cohesion as a team. And they're really starting to gel. So a lot of great double team moves. They did pick up the win, thankfully. This one didn't end in a no contest. They actually officially picked up the win before getting jumped by everybody again. But what I liked is last time they just got beat down and were laying motionless and stood over. This time they were able to rally back and clear the ring and stand tall at the end, which is a much better look for them. For me, much more realistic. And then later on, they announced the triple threat that you had talked about. That's going to happen at Clash of the Castle with all three of these teams. But I like this one. I thought it was a much better look than how they showcased the champs on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, it was odd just having them just kind of hang out and stock the ringside area. But here's my thing I just wanted to say. I wanted to make sure we cover SmackDown as well. But with Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, I feel like they're just throwing them in because it's in Scotland. And
they are.
I feel, and again, I'm not trying to throw shade on that tag team. I think they are potential candidates for women's tag team champions in the future. I just feel that they're just kind of being rushed and thrown into it too soon. I feel like there's still a lot more meat on the bone for them to build themselves up, as a formidable tag team. And because honestly, I feel a lot of people don't really know who they are. That never watched NXT, they don't know who they are. And that's a shame because they're a great tag team and I think they would do well as tag team champs. But I feel like they shouldn't just throw them in there because they're going to be in Scotland. And I feel that's what's happening. And it's a shame because I don't think they're going to give them the tag titles. I don't think they'll do it that hastily. I mean, who knows? Maybe they will. But I don't see that happening. And it's going to be a shame because you just threw them in so early. And I feel the loss may do more damage than good because I feel they are the ones who are probably going to take the pin. Because I don't see them letting Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark take the pin. But
yeah. Well, it's true because they really are going like everybody who's Scottish. You're on the card, like Piper Niven's competing against Bayley, and
all of you get a tag match. I mean, that tag match.
Everybody gets a title match. You get a title match. You get a title match, and it's like, yeah, Piper Niven's great, but she really wasn't in the title picture at all. And then all of a sudden, she's in the title picture facing Bayley, kind of out of the blue. So. They are doing that. I mean, and I think, it's hard pressed to say. I'm pretty sure because we haven't seen much from Alba Fire and Isla Dawn other than them popping up at ringside for things.
Yeah, we
haven't really seen much from them. So it'd be shocking if they ended up picking that victory. I'm hoping Cargill and Belair still retain. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how that one goes. But and then we still had Cody still hanging out in the loading dock waiting for AJ.
They should have just done what they used to do. Do you remember like in the Attitude Era when they would do stuff like that? They would just do a picture-in-picture and just have it like in the bottom corner.
Instead
just
of
leave
like,
it there.
Here he is. And they're like, by the way, AJ's here and we've got security and we'll see you later. And then they cut away. And next up was Johnny Gargano versus Grayson Waller. So this was before this, before they actually competed, while they were coming out, we got an interview with Apollo Crews in the back, talking about, hey, you lost last week on your big return, but you got a match against Angel Garza, and then he gets totally nerfed by Legado del Fantasma, and I'm like, man, poor Apollo Crews. It's like I get it. He's at the point in his career now where he's been relegated to be cannon fodder for everybody. But this is just kind of a bummer to see because he's like so talented. And like he's all like, yeah, I'm gonna come back and win. It's like, and then gets beats up. Oh, he can't compete, so then he's out. He's not even on the card anymore. And like literally 2 seconds, the medical staff hasn't come to get him, and then LA Knight pops out, and
Bad
just
timing.
pops out and takes and takes his spot. But he wanted to touch on this because he asked Nick Aldis, "Hey, where's Logan Paul?" Like not caring that this guy just got beat up. And he goes like, "Where's Logan Paul?" And
there's an
apparently
opening.
Logan Paul, I know, he's like, well, now Paulo Cruz doesn't have a match anymore. And he's like, apparently Logan Paul was out playing Tetris somewhere, which I didn't get that. And
Training
then LA
for a
Knight
Tetris
says,
tournament.
yeah. And he's like, oh, he's playing Tetris. And he goes, you know, Logan can come here and play Tetris with me. And if you hit my buttons just right, I'm really good at getting things in there. And I was like, whoa, like it sounded less like he was trying to beat up Logan Paul and more like he was trying to sleep with him. So it was a little like, I get where he was going with it. Yeah. I'm like, oh, LA, I generally love your promos. This one got awkward very, very quickly. Even at that point, Carmelo Hayes walks up and goes, ew, ew, ew. And I'm like, yeah, he basically sounded like he was trying to come on to Logan Paul. Yeah. But we got them Carmelo Hayes and LA Knight, jaw-jacking back and forth. And then they stole Apollo Cruz's spot on the show. So later on, we were going to get LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes. And then we finally got all of this happened like during the walkouts for Gargano and Waller. So this is the continuation from last week. And the match was good, and it continues. Like, we're obviously seeing the division of these two, where it's Waller in Theory, and it's the slow build. And it's the slow build that's building pretty quickly because they already did the whole, well, you know, they've made up. They understand it was a misunderstanding last week. Then the match went on. At one point, Jordan Gargano did like an avalanche Canadian Destroyer, which looked awesome. It looked really nice.
Yeah.
And then Waller kind of rolled out of the ring to get away. Theory was helping him back up to his feet. Gargano went for a suicide dive, and then Waller pulled Theory into his path, like completely unnecessary. He could have just like broken, stepped back, but he pulled him into his path. So they had a collision, and then Waller ended up shortly after that hitting the Unprettier for the win. And so they're doing this like really steering into the Waller is actively sabotaging his relationship with Theory and doesn't take him seriously or doesn't care about him. And that tells me that they're probably going to drop the titles to DIY.
They are. That tells me. I mean, and I said that before. They might as well drop the titles. Nobody saw them as actual tag team champions. They really haven't had any title defenses. This is actually, I think, going to be the first title defense they have. While they are good on the mic, and I think Austin Theory is a great individual competitor, I think Austin Theory should continue on his own. But yeah, you see it there, him pulling him in front of him. And then, I will double down on that Canadian Destroyer. That was an insane move.
Cool.
That was awesome. But I don't see them retaining at Clash in the Castle. I feel like they are going to lose. I think that is one title that is going to change hands, is the tag title. So,
yeah, I think they will, and I mean we'll see how it goes. I'm assuming it's going to lead to a feud between the two of them. So you know, does one of them turn face? I mean, assuming it has to be Austin Theory.
Yeah, I think Austin Theory turns face. Yeah,
so Theory turns face, and then Waller continues to do the heel work.
Yeah.
So then right after this, Cody on the loading dock again. And then they finally, it's like they're all standing out there, and AJ and he's there with Gallows and Anderson, and everyone's just like yelling at each other with security in between. And then you get Cody doing the walk out to the ring and basically just goes down and says, I want you, get down here right now. We're going to have our match right now. And AJ Styles goes, no, not right now. I want your title at Clash of the Castle. And I was like, oh, man, we just talked about this. Like, I wanted them to do a slow build, have them maybe do this at SummerSlam. Don't just turn around. Like, you had the retirement thing last week. This week, you're going to say, we're going to compete for your... I'm going to put my title on the line at Clash of Castles, which is next week. That's in a week. So you're going to do this, like, in a 2-week swing, put him back in the title picture and have him lose to Cody, because he's not going to beat Cody at Clash of the Castle.
No.
Like, that's not going to happen. So this feels rushed again. And my whole thing was, I wanted to see a more sustained pro. I didn't like the stop-start with AJ, where they had the match at Backlash, and then they kind of abandoned that to do the Logan Paul thing, and then they abruptly restarted it, and now they're going to abruptly have another title match at Clash of the Castle, and I didn't like this at all. It's going to be an I Quit match. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I think an I Quit match between the two of them will be great, and I will love to watch that. I just think from a narrative standpoint and a storytelling standpoint, it is so darn rushed. And then what happens when AJ doesn't? If AJ doesn't win now, he's definitely in the back of the line. It doesn't matter what else he does because they already established that that's why he's doing all these shenanigans is to get Cody to call him out. Cody's not going to do that again. So I don't know. I didn't like this. What did you think?
I mean, wasn't a fan. I mean, I am looking forward to the match. Obviously, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good match. But at the same time, it's definitely rushed. I feel that a Night Quit match is good. It's going to let them, it's going to be one of those slow matches. I'm guessing probably be like a 20, 25-minute match. But it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. I know they have one more SmackDown before the go home. There's the go home episode coming up next week. So right before Clash of the Castle. One of two things is probably going to happen on that SmackDown. Either Arn Anderson's going to, because I know Cody's teased that he would like to have a manager again. And I know Arn Anderson did not renew his AEW contract. So I'm wondering if Arn Anderson comes out Friday or the Good Brothers come to interfere and Arn Anderson comes out and kind of motivates Cody to lock in a submission. That would be really cool to see. I think it would be really nice to see Cody with Arn Anderson back in WWE. That'd be great. But I don't know. But either way, Cody's winning this. There's no way he's going to drop the title at Clash of the Castle. He has way more title defenses in him. I don't know what happens with AJ after this. Obviously, he's back with the Good Brothers.
Yeah.
Maybe Finn Balor, after he leaves Judgment Day when Rhea comes back, maybe you have him unite with AJ and they, create like a WWE version of the Bullet Club. You got most of the members there already. Cool. So that would be interesting to see. And then there, in a way, you can kind of turn that back to go up against Cody at some point in the future, because between Finn Balor created the Bullet Club, AJ was one of the leaders, and he handed it off to Cody, and Cody took over Bullet Club for a while with Brandy. So it would be interesting to see how that pans out. That would be cool. Not that it's saying that's going to happen, but a man can dream. But I think that's my fantasy booking, I guess. But yeah, he's not going to lose his title. I could have done without this segment. I think an I Quit match, yes, it's cool, but it's too soon. I would have much rather see them, maybe like I said, I think do like a 6-man tag with the Good Brothers and AJ against Cody and maybe another tag team to help them out. But there are no tag teams. Remember, we went through the list last week, I think.
Yeah, there really aren't.
Anybody really, so.
Yeah, I mean, it feels rushed, but we're getting one. We're getting an I Quit match at Clash of the Castle. And then after this, we got LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes. This one was really good. It was almost my match of the night, but my match of the night ended up being the main event. But it was really, really strong. Great intensity between these two. And Carmelo Hayes, I will say, is one of the best sellers on the roster. He's really good at making people look really good. He sells everything really, really well. Yeah. And he made LA Knight look really good here as well. It was a great back and forth. It ended with Carmelo kind of getting a roll up and grabbing the tights and trying to hold on, and then LA Knight countered with a roll up of his own and got the win. So I was okay with that as far as surprise roll ups go, because he tried to surprise him and cheat, and LA Knight ended up getting one over on him. It was a good, solid match overall. And then right after this, LA Knight threatened to bring SmackDown to Logan Paul. So I guess we're getting another home invasion storyline because he did that to AJ. He went to AJ's house. I guess he's going to Logan Paul's house next week. We already know he's got a history. He's got a pattern. So Logan Paul, just tell your security to be looking for him on the front lawn, because that's what happened last time. If you hear the horn honking, it's going to be LA Knight.
Logan Paul will be crying on the camera with a restraining order already filed.
Oh, and when we got a bad Logan Paul promo right after that, where he was like, I need to address this. And this is clearly a pre-shot promo. And he's like, I just heard this, so I'm going to need to address it. And it's like him walking with a professional camera crew. It's like, if you're going to do a spontaneous promo, do it on your cell phone. Like, make it look like it was spontaneous versus clearly this is like set up and scripted and professionally shot and professionally edited. So yeah, but I skipped that part. But yeah, what did you think of Carmelo Hayes versus LA Knight?
I liked it. I was with you. This was up there. I saw this match and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be my match of the night." But then the main event happened. But I think this match was great. I like seeing LA Knight continue to move up among the ranks. I really do feel that LA Knight will be the one to take the title off of Logan Paul. I think he would be a better U.S. champion in my book. Carmelo Hayes is a future star for sure. He's already a star, but he's a future champ. Definitely for sure, but just not yet. And I think that's the right call because he's still new. You know, you still got other talent to put over. So I think doing it now is a little bit too soon. Just like we talked about Alba Fire and Idle Dawn, right? Like it's just too much, right? Too soon. Too much too soon. But
yeah,
I think this is the right build for Carmelo Hayes. And I think, like you said, he can make everybody look good. He sells so well, but without sacrificing his own integrity in the ring. So I enjoyed this match a lot.
Yeah, this was good. And then right after this, we got Bayley cutting a promo for the match with Piper Niven at Clash of the Castle. And then Piper came out, and Piper cut a promo, and we never really hear from her very much. And so it was pretty rare, and it was actually a really good promo. Yeah. I liked it. It was pretty sincere. It was from the heart. Yeah. She's very good on the mic. They should really let her do it more. They generally let Chelsea Green be like the mouthpiece for them. I hope they move away from that. I feel bad because obviously Piper's just going to get sacrificed to Bayley, and she's probably going to lose in her home country.
I think Piper might win.
It'd be nice to see the change because I'm like, Piper's done a lot. She's very talented, and she's talented in the ring, and she's talented on the microphone, obviously. Yeah. That would be nice to see her get a little shine from this, but I don't know. I feel like
I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say she takes that title. I really do feel.
All right, you heard it here first with the predictions. I'm gonna be a wuss and say.
I always go out on a limb. I do crazy predictions, end up paying for it in the end, but it's okay.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be a good little because I could see it happening, and I could see Chelsea Green doing this. Like I forgot who did it before, where they're like, "We're the champion," and they're like, "No, that's the champion." They're like, "No, we are the champion." So, I think I'm sure in the comments they'll remind me who it was. I can't remember for the life of me right now, but yeah, I think she might. I think out of all the Scots in the match, I think there's only 3 in title matches. She stands the best chance to win. I feel.
There you go. And then after this, we had the main event. There were a couple of just news and notes. There was a couple of odd things that happened with Michin and Nia Jax jawing at each other, and they're going to face each other next week. But at one point, Michin said to Nia, keep AJ's name out of your mouth, which was like, that was like a Will Smith reference. Yeah. And then right after that, Naomi said to Chelsea Green, Chelsea, keep my name out of your mouth. Yeah. Like right after that. And I was like, are these intentional Will Smith? Because they just did the premiere for the Bad Boys movie. Oh, yeah. And that WWE stars were there. I think Liv Morgan was there, and they had the picture with her. So with Martin Lawrence. And I'm like, did they intentionally put 2 like Will Smith, keep your name out of my mouth references in there? Because it was just odd that they both did that. So main event time. Kevin Owens, Street Profits versus the Bloodline, match of the night for me, obviously. This one was really physical, really fast-paced. Like, the tempo on it was crazy. Tama Tonga's like a Tasmanian devil out there.
he's I'm talking about Gorillas of Destiny, man. They are an amazing tag team. I love them in New Japan, and I love seeing them here now. So
this one, when I heard this was going to be the main event, I didn't have super high expectations about it. I really didn't. But everybody was great. Montez Ford looked fantastic, and Angelo Dawkins looked fantastic. Like, everybody was really, really good, and it was just flying, boom, boom, boom. It was nonstop action. I didn't like the end because the end, it was like everything kind of spilled out of the ring, and at one point Montez Ford was like celebrating, and then Solo just hit him in the back of the chair, and it was like, DQ, match is over.
Yeah.
But it was okay because it's Bloodline. Like, the Bloodline
And
was
they
just going to
just
try and beat him down.
They just tried to
And
murder
they did.
him in the ring. Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, well, because it ended, the DQ happened with like 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
And so then it was just the Bloodline just piling on and just punishing everybody.
And just going
And
at
then
it.
Solo was going to use the Samoan Spike on Montez Ford, and then he hit him with the spear instead, which I felt like was the reference to Roman Reigns. And so when that happened, I was like, oh, this is the whole, like, I'm the head of the table, not Roman kind of feeling from that. So that was a nice little touch. They powerbomb KO through the announce table. It's like a triple powerbomb. Kind of hoisted up on the shoulders and Solo powerbomb KO through the announce table. And that's how they went off air.
Yep.
Yeah, the shield bomb. So that's true. Yeah, so that's another Roman Reigns reference. So it was great. Match of the night. I really enjoyed it. Great way to close out the show.
I agree, and it made your heels look super heel and super awesome.
Yeah.
At the same time, right? Because you had them just again looking dominant, looking like they're just gonna destroy anyone in their path. I like that they're not throwing them into any title pictures right now. I think they're just letting the bloodline build, which is, I think, the best route. People, again, because people don't know Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. They don't know Gorillas of Destiny. They don't know how good of a tag team this is. So it's an opportunity to let them shine and let them build. And at the same time, it gives Solo Sikoa some credibility, because Solo, throughout his whole time in the bloodline, seldomly spoke. He hardly spoke. He didn't say much. And it's just, you don't know what he's thinking, what he's capable of. And now you're getting to see more of his character develop and build and grow, the way he just intimidates Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's a freaking genius. Best manager out there, hands down, period. Don't tell me otherwise. I'll punch you in the throat, I swear to God. But he's like the greatest ever. And it's just, he's working his magic with this trio. And I think it's going to be building to so much more. I've said a million times, Blood War, Civil War at Survivor Series. But at the end of the day, the best thing about this whole thing is that you get to see this up and coming talent thrive. And I would love to see the bloodline grow some more. Whether they will or not, I don't know. But it would be cool to see them add more, because there are more out there. But time will tell.
Yeah, time will certainly tell. But yeah, that was SmackDown this week. Solid show. I enjoyed it more than Raw, so I gave Raw a B. I'll give SmackDown a B plus. B plus for effort. Solid all around.
I agree. I think it was a great episode. Nice. Again, just the 2 hours is just plenty of time for them to build on these stories and do all these things. I didn't care for the Logan Paul interview. It's what it is. Nia Jax just kind of out there. That's probably the only thing I would have changed, is she needed to have more of a bigger segment if she's the Queen of the Ring. Obviously, she should have.
Yeah, she got a sales pitch from. Yeah, she got a sales pitch from. What's her name? The banished girl. No, gosh, why?
You're drawing a blank.
I don't know why. Yeah, I'm totally drawing a blank here. Remember the gymnast, the one that Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, Tiffany
came out
Stratton.
and just did a sales pitch. Yeah, she came out and did a sales pitch, and she was like,
blew her off.
You and I you be the Queen of the Ring, I'll be the Princess of the Ring. And then Nia's just like does like a comedy moment, like, okay. And I'm thinking, what about Nia Jax has made you think she was going to humor a crazy person? So that was just a little weird.
That was a little weird, but at the same time, I think they're just trying to lay low with Tiffany Stratton for now, and I think that's just kind of plugging her in. But I mean, that's probably the only thing. Because here's the thing: the PLE is called Clash at the Castle, and both your King and Queen of the Ring don't have matches.
Yeah, that is true. There's a brand synergy lost opportunity there.
Yeah, even if it is a squash match, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, you got to have royalty. You got to have royalty when there's a castle involved. So Clash of the Castles next week. I mean, I think I won't do a full rundown of predictions on this one, but I'll think for me, gosh, I feel like you got to let Drew. That's gonna be my out on a limb. Is you got to let Drew McIntyre win. So in Scotland, let him pick up the win on Damian Priest. Let it set up the feud with him and CM Punk feuding for the world title. So that's going to be my out on the limb prediction. Is Drew McIntyre's the new world heavyweight champion?
Yeah, I think CM Punk's going to interfere draw massive heat from the Scottish crowd. Piper Niven's my out on the limb. I think she's going to win the women's title. I think Sami Zayn's going to retain, probably because Otis is finally going to turn. I don't think the women's tag team championships are going anywhere. They're going to stay on Bianca Belair. Jade
Yeah, I think
Cargill.
they'll stay with Jade and Bianca.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And Cody's winning the I Quit match.
Yeah, obviously. There's no way he's not winning that one.
I'd be shocked.
That would
I
be
really
the
would.
shock. Yeah, that would.
Yeah.
I would be blown away if AJ Styles walks away as the champion, and Cody's story ended that quickly.
I doubt it.
Yeah. Oh, right on. Well, that's the week that was in WWE. We'll be back next week with Clash at the I want to say Clash of Champions every time I say that. Clash at the Castle.
Yeah.
Clash at the Castle coming up next week. These PLE events come up so fast.
They do.
I feel like a little too fast nowadays, but should be a great one. And we'll be back next week to recap it. So thank you again, everyone out there, for all the support. Thank you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave all those comments if you think we're right, think we're wrong, or if you're just indifferent, want to talk about something else. Do let us know. But we appreciate you as always. And until next time, I've been Michael D'Angelo. He's been Big D Daryl Ortiz, and we will see you soon. Have a great rest of your week.